in Nevada, across this country, women make 77 cents compared to every dollar that a man makes, doing the exact same work. The disparity is even starker if you look at people of color, women of color. An African-American woman makes 62 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Hispanic, 54 cents for every dollar that a man makes. Isn't it time we did something about that? But based on the words and actions of the Republicans, they have a three-part strategy for the pay gap between men and women. Number one, just don't talk about the problem. Number two, downplay the problem as if it doesn't exist. And most of all, without any reservation or hesitation, block any attempts to try to change the inequities that are out there for everyone to see. They want to stick their heads in the sand and ignore the reality that American women experience every day. I'm standing with Senator Mikulski, with a woman who is the icon of people who understand that you have to stand up for what's wrong. Here's a woman that worked for more than 2 decades doing her job. In fact, she was awarded Model Employee Award. And she learns shortly before she's going to retire that people who are men who have been doing the exact same work that she's been doing are making a lot more money than she is. About $8,000 a year, as a matter of fact. Now remember, she found out after more than 20 years that she wasn't being paid the same for the same work that men did. But she didn't sit back and whine about it. She went out and did something about it. She went through the court process. In fact, to the United States Supreme Court, where they said, listen to this one. You should have filed your lawsuit within 3 years of when you started work. Well, remember, she didn't know she was being cheated at that time. So we had to make up for the unfairness the Supreme Court set as a standard in this country. And the first bill that President Obama signed as President of the United States was the Lilly Ledbetter legislation that took away that unfair statute of limitations. So we stand here today with a woman on my left and a woman on my right who stand and have always stood for fairness for everyone. But today we want to talk about fairness to women. I so admire and appreciate the work of Senator Mikulski. And Lilly Ledbetter, that name is so great that across America, when you mention the name Lilly Ledbetter, every woman in America stands at attention, because what she has brought to the attention of the American people once again is how unfair the workplace is for women. The legislation we're trying to pass would build upon the Lilly Ledbetter legislation. It would allow us to stop retaliation from employers and ensure they can discuss wage issues freely with their colleagues. You know, this is America, and you should be able to talk to one of your coworkers. How much money do you make? How much money does she make? Without being fired. This is a common sense approach. So easy. 9 out of every 10 Americans support this. 90% of Americans support our legislation. 81% of men and 77% of Republicans support this legislation. Once again, Republicans across America can recognize what's fair. Republicans every place except those elected to Congress. Republicans in Congress disagree. So, once again, only Republicans are against this common sense approach. The Republicans, I repeat, who oppose it are the ones that are based here in Washington as members of Congress. The Republican nominee, Governor Romney, hasn't taken a stand on this issue. He should show some leadership and tell his fellow Republicans that opposing fair pay for all Americans is shameful. But, as usual, no one knows today where he stands on this issue. Tomorrow, he may be standing someplace else. But it's clear where Democrats stand. We stand for equal pay for equal work, and it's time for Republicans to stop denying the reality that millions of women face every day and work with us to give women the pay equality they deserve.
We are only 5 days from the 49th anniversary of the passage of the Equal Pay Act. In a very hot day in 1963, the United States Congress passed the Equal Pay for Equal Work Act. Women felt they were taking a giant leap forward and end discrimination in the workplace and end discrimination in their paycheck. But oh, it was not meant to be. Not only did they fight the legislation, but after it was over, they exploited loophole after loophole after loophole. And now, 49 years later, as we get ready to commemorate the passage of that act, we find in 49 years, we've only advanced ourselves 18 cents on the dollar. In 1963, women made 59 cents for every dollar that men make. And in 2012, we make 77 cents. That means 19 cents over 49 years. So it says essentially to American women, every 5 years, you'll make another penny. Well, let me tell you, as I travel around my own state, my own country, and my other colleagues, we know that women are mad as hell and they don't want to take it anymore. If they work hard, if they do the job, qualify for the job, have the same education, the same seniority, they want the same pay, they want it for themselves, and we want it for them. This is what the Paycheck Fairness Bill does. It builds on what we did in the Lilly Ledbetter bill. It closes the loopholes. What are the loopholes? One of the major ones is that if you ask about your wages on the job, you can be punished, you can be retaliated against, and even fired. Can you imagine in the United States of America, while we're promoting democracy over there, you don't have democracy in the workplace here? We say no. Close that loophole. If you want to turn to the guy next to you and say, what do you make? Or he wants to tell you, it's prohibited. We're going to close that loophole. There are a variety of other technical ones, and some related to punitive damages. So this is what this bill does. Now, we have 53 votes going on that floor. I've done my count. I have every single Democrat. I have the 2 independents. I need 7 more who are willing to act like independents and vote for the Paycheck Fairness Act. The gender gap exists not only in the way women vote, but in the way they're paid. We want to end that today on the Senate floor. So we say to our Republican colleagues, all of those many moderates that we have worked with, those who often find the common ground, step up, step out, vote for this paycheck fairness. Let's finish the fight that we began with Lilly Ledbetter. People say, well, didn't Lilly Ledbetter Fair Pay Act take care of that? Well, what it did was change the statute of limitations to file a lawsuit from the date of each discriminatory act. It kept the courthouse door open. It changed the statute of limitations. It gave you a shot at the courthouse. But what we want to do now is end it in the workplace. The Paycheck Fairness Act would close the loopholes and end discrimination in the first place. This is a big vote today. It is a big vote. And what we hope is that we will have a bipartisan vote that will be able to move this forward. But I could talk about this, but I'd like someone who actually experienced these difficulties day to day and in the workplace. Lilly will tell you how she faced discrimination in her paycheck, in her pension, in her Social Security, and how even when she tried to find out what was her story, what was her situation, she was harassed, she was humiliated, and punished. But Lilly, rather than me telling your story, let me invite you once again. We're so honored to have you here. And behind you, you are the face of this fight, but we know behind you are over 100 million other women. So let me invite you to step up here. Go ahead.
Thank you. I am indeed honored to be here and be a part of this program today because paycheck fairness is really near and dear to my heart. And I'm just an ordinary citizen like Senator Mikulski and Senator Reid told you. I'm just an ordinary middle-class American. I tried to earn a good living and support my family and have a good retirement and go on with my life. I never intended to be a part of the court system, but when I found out how my family had suffered and done without, not because I didn't work, not because I didn't accept all the overtime, but simply because my employer chose to pay me 40% less than my white male colleagues doing the exact same work. I worked there for 19 years before finding out. Each time I tried to find out how I stood with my peers, they would tell me I was listening to too much BS and blow me off. So when I got the anonymous tip, how much less I made, I thought about all of those many long hours that I had worked overtime. In the first line management where I was, we got time and half double, and that cost me and my family a lot of money. Plus my retirement was based on what I earned, my contributory retirement, my 401k, and today my Social Security. I was a second-class citizen in my company's eyes then, but I was a good worker, and they liked for me to come to work, and they called me often for overtime. But it's not treated me fairly, and it goes on for the rest of my life. And not only being the poster child for unequal work, unequal pay for equal work, I'm also the poster child for senior women. I'm now a widow. I'm like most senior women across this nation. We're outliving our spouses by 10 years, and in some cases, these mothers are having to move in their children's home, not because they didn't work, but it's simply because they were not compensated rightfully what they were entitled to under the law. Because we had, Senator Mikulski stated, we've had equal pay law since 1963. Title VII since 1964. So I thought surely, working for a major corporation with government contracts, that they were following and adhering to all federal laws. But to my sad sorrow, finding out they did not, it cost me and my family. Now, I never got a dime, and I still travel this country. I crisscross it north to south, east to west. I stay in the plane airports for 10 months a year because I want to share my story. I do not want what happened to me and my family to happen to any other American family. And I'm telling you folks, this is a national epidemic in this country, and I have mothers talking to me about how they have to work 2 jobs Monday through Friday, and on the weekend they work another day. They're too tired to cook good, healthy meals. They never get to go to school for parent-teacher conferences. And the education level of 12th and under, these children are basically on their own because the mothers are having to work all these hours trying to keep the rent paid and the food on the table for the children and them in school and do the best she can. And she still tells me that usually each month her family picks up a bill because she can't make all of the bills. This is not right. This country is smarter. We're better than this. And what I've been talking about and preaching about for the last few years, it belongs to everybody in this country. Because when you talk about women and equal pay for equal work, you're talking about the family. The men today, they come out of the audience and they share with me, I get it, Lily, I got it. I've got 3 daughters. My wife is working, and you know they've bypassed her for promotions, but she's the one who trains the men they hire where she's at. But we can't afford to let her quit, and we can't afford to go to court, because I was fortunate. I had an attorney and a firm that would take my case on a contingent basis. There's not many law firms in this country that can do that. And therefore, people in middle-class America can't afford an attorney. We don't want lawsuits. It took me from 1998, when I filed the charge, until 2007, until I got my final verdict in my case. My family and I suffered through this for 9 years. It took 9 years to get the final verdict in my case, and another 18 months to get the Ledbetter bill. And I never got a dime. I never will get a dime. It did not cover my case. The Supreme Court had already made the ruling. But it's like I told these senators in the House of Representatives and the President of the United States. They gave me an awesome responsibility, because I'm sincere as I can be. You and I do not let these Republicans keep us from getting paycheck fairness. I do not understand why Mitt Romney can't commit. He will not commit to whether or not he would support the Ledbetter bill, and he's scaring me to death, because it cannot be repealed, because it's a disaster if he does, and we cannot let them take away the few privileges we've earned, and we've got to get some more. And the people that have been elected to Congress, in the Senate and in the House, from back home, whatever state they're from, they need to feel the responsibility of the families in their state and their community, because we have and we must get our families across this great nation paid properly, so that the families can get back on track and make our country #1 around the world. Thank you.